Hawaii Five-0. By 2011, Sean Combs, better known as Diddy, was determined to rewrite his own narrative. No longer content with being just a rap mogul or party king, he wanted something different now: respect as a serious actor. But there was a problem. Hollywood wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet. According to reports, Diddy started personally calling producers, pushing for a role big enough to change how people saw him. Eventually, he got one, a guest appearance on Hawaii Five-0, one of the most watched shows on network TV at the time.
I got you something.
The episode was supposed to mark a new chapter for him. Instead, it ended up feeling like a strange mirror of his public image. Diddy played Reggie Cole, an undercover cop accused of murder and on the run. His character was written as someone who couldn't be trusted, desperate, cornered, and morally compromised. But here's where it gets interesting. Sources close to the production claim the writers weren't thrilled about casting Diddy. They reportedly didn't want him in the episode at all, but they couldn't say no to a star that big. So instead of celebrating his appearance, they allegedly did the opposite. They built the role to subtly humiliate him. They turned him into the thing he'd spent years running from, a man accused of killing someone, pleading for innocence that no one believed in. At one point, his character says, "I didn't kill him, I didn't do it." Yet the script keeps painting him as deceptive and dangerous, with another character warning him, "You can't raise your kid from a prison cell."
I didn't kill him. You hear me? I didn't do it. Yeah, I want to believe you, Reggie. So if I don't put an end to this now, Kevin will never be safe. Hey, you can't raise your kid from a prison cell.
It was almost poetic. Here was a mogul trying to escape the shadow of violence and crime rumors, only to end up acting out that same persona on national television. For years, whispers in the industry have tied Diddy's name to some of hip-hop's deepest wounds, the murders of Tupac and Biggie. Conspiracy theories, street talk, and unresolved questions have kept those shadows alive. So when millions watched him on Hawaii Five-0 playing a man accused of murder, cornered and distrusted, it didn't just feel like a role. It felt like the culture itself holding up a mirror to the rumors that never went away. South Park. Back in 2004, when Diddy was all over TV pushing his Vote or Die campaign to get young people to the polls, South Park flipped the whole thing on its head. In the episode Douche and Turd, Season 8, Episode 8, they made his campaign look way darker. Like the or die part wasn't just a catchy slogan, but a real threat.
Puff Daddy?
Your friend Kyle told me you don't understand the importance of voting.
For years, rumors had swirled about Diddy's involvement in the violent events that shook hip-hop in the 90s, the murders of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. South Park didn't just dance around those whispers, they went straight for it, turning those whispers into a savage joke that basically implied Diddy's power came with deadly consequences.
Apparently you haven't heard of my Vote or Die campaign.
That wasn't just satire, it was accusation through comedy. A bold statement disguised as a joke. And it wasn't a one-off either. The show returned to mock and criticize Diddy multiple times across different episodes, each time pushing the boundary of what they could say without outright naming the rumor everyone knew. For South Park to risk that kind of joke about one of the most powerful figures in music said a lot. It showed that these allegations weren't fringe conspiracies. They were so well known within entertainment circles that even a mainstream cartoon could reference them, and people got the message. Madagascar. Buried inside this kid-friendly 2005 hit was a line that raised eyebrows for those who were paying attention. Around 36 minutes in, Chris Rock, who voiced Marty the Zebra, reportedly slipped in a line and said, "This is like a puffy party." It came during a scene when the main characters stumble into a wild, frenzied island bash thrown by King Julian, the flamboyant, self-obsessed lemur who lives for excess. On the surface, it was just a funny reference, but in context, it was a loaded one.
This
This is like a puppy party.
What kind of zoo is this?
King Julian's island party was chaotic, decadent, and a little unhinged. The parallels to Diddy's infamous freak-offs and private island parties were hard to ignore. Julian was manipulative, exploitative, and obsessed with throwing massive events where others did his bidding while he soaked up the spotlight. According to some insiders, the puffy party line wasn't random at all. Chris Rock, who had long circulated in the same elite circles as Diddy, allegedly used the joke to drop a subtle clue. He had reportedly heard the stories and decided to sneak the truth into a family movie where no one would think twice. Years later, as reports and lawsuits began surfacing describing eerily similar island events hosted by Diddy, that throwaway joke started to sound prophetic. In hindsight, Madagascar wasn't just a fun animated movie, it was a veiled nod to Hollywood's worst-kept secret, the kind of message you could only deliver through laughter. The Simpsons. In the 2017 episode The Great Fatsby, Season 28, Episode 12, the story centers on a flashy billionaire rapper who hosts an over-the-top all-white party, yachts, models, champagne fountains, and a guest list packed with celebrities and politicians. The resemblance was hard to miss. The character was clearly inspired by Diddy, from the way he looked and carried himself, to the whole vibe of extravagance and excess that's always followed him.
White party, just the kind I used to throw, although we interpreted the theme a bit differently.
What made this episode different, though, was what the creators later admitted. They supposedly said they had never actually been to one of those infamous all-white parties themselves, but they had heard horror stories for years. In their own words, they weren't making a prediction, they were just putting the rumors on blast. And those details were too specific to be random. The strict all-white dress code, the secluded island-like venue, the mix of Hollywood's A-listers and powerful political figures all gathered in one place under the control of a single mogul. There was even a scene where the guests, drawn to resemble stars like Beyoncé and Will Smith, mingled in surreal, decadent chaos. Strippers performed aboard a pirate ship floating in the middle of a party, and behind a velvet rope guarded by massive security stood a mysterious private room, accessible only to the host.
Mr. Burns? What did you say?
Mr. Burns and I were just leaving.
That scene hit a little close to home for those familiar with the long-running whispers about Diddy's parties. The Simpsons wasn't trying to predict Diddy's downfall, they were treating those rumors as common knowledge. It was satire built from what insiders already believed to be real. The Chappelle Show. In the Making the Band skit, Chappelle played Diddy as a wild, over-the-top mogul who loved testing his artists with ridiculous, borderline humiliating challenges, all to see how loyal they were. And his first test was sending the contestants on a pointless trip to Queens just to get him a sugar cookie.
Want to do it? First, y'all gotta walk to Queens and give me a sugar cookie.
A sugar cookie, man? Look, this is not what I got in the music business to be doing.
The skit kept escalating. Each new demand was more absurd than the last. He sent them walking across New Jersey to pick up left-handed golf clubs, he had them pose with a midget holding balloons, and when the group started arguing, his version of Diddy egged it on, shouting, "Let him fight." The chaos wasn't just for laughs, it reflected a real power dynamic where control and ego came before mentorship or art. But the real gut punch came when Chappelle's Diddy started listing his bizarre personal desires. He bragged about only drinking the finest breast milks, forcing his artists to travel to the Bronx to get milk from a Cambodian woman. It was wild, darkly funny, and disturbingly specific.
Y'all not working like a team? I got to shut the studio down, yo. I only drink the finest breast milks.
The moment worked as both parody and revelation, a peek into the whispered stories floating around the industry about Diddy's alleged indulgences and control issues. At the time, audiences laughed it off, but looking back now, it feels like the sketch was less of a joke and more of an open secret. Chappelle had taken something that people whispered about behind closed doors and blasted it onto national television under the guise of comedy. Blink Twice. The film follows a charismatic billionaire who invites a group of women to his private island for what's supposed to be a weekend of luxury, excess, and non-stop partying, drugs, music, and everything money can buy. But the vibe quickly turns dark. The women begin to realize they're trapped, and the billionaire has been using a strange perfume or drug to erase their memories after having his way with them.
Get off of me!
You got her?
Yeah, I got her.
When Blink Twice dropped in August 2024, most people thought it was just a bold, creative debut from Kravitz. But after Diddy's arrest and the details of his alleged private island parties hit the news, the similarities were impossible to ignore. The plot wasn't just close, it was uncanny. The island, the drugs, the manipulation, the memory loss, it felt like art had predicted reality, or maybe just exposed it early. That's when the theory started spreading. Zoe Kravitz might have known more than she was letting on. As the daughter of Lenny Kravitz, a musician who partied and collaborated with Diddy, Zoe grew up around the same elite circle of artists, moguls, and socialites. Fans began to wonder if Blink Twice was her way of shining a light on the secrets she'd quietly absorbed over the years. Some saw it not as a coincidence, but as an act of creative rebellion, a warning disguised as entertainment, because when you look at the timing, the parallels, and the insider connections, Blink Twice reads like a dramatic blueprint of the very crimes the world would soon hear about in courtrooms and press releases. Supernatural. Back in 2011, Supernatural aired an episode called Like a Virgin. On the surface, it was your typical monster hunting story. Sam and Dean Winchester were investigating a string of disappearances involving young women, specifically virgins, who had vanished under mysterious circumstances. As the brothers try to figure out what kind of creature they're dealing with, Sam asks a seemingly innocent question. What kind of creature loves virgins and gold? Dean, without missing a beat, fires off a sarcastic response. P. Diddy.
So what kind of thing likes virgins and gold? P. Diddy?
At the time, everyone laughed it off. It was just a throwaway joke, one of countless pop culture references the show was known for. But years later, that one-liner started sounding eerily different. After the allegations about Diddy's lifestyle started making waves, stories of bizarre freak-offs, control, and manipulation, the joke took on a darker tone. The idea of a monster who targets certain victims and is obsessed with wealth suddenly didn't sound so mythical anymore. Fans began rewatching the episode, realizing that maybe the writers were hinting at something people in the industry already knew. That one 5-second joke wasn't just humor, it was a quiet jab at the truth, a nod to the rumors that had been circling for years in whispered conversations and Hollywood backrooms. Murder rap. By 2016, one documentary shattered whatever illusion of innocence was left around Diddy's name. It was called Murder Rap, based on former LAPD detective Greg Kading's explosive 2011 book. Unlike most theories or gossip, Kading's work came straight from police files, witness interviews, and years of direct investigation.
Tupac would eventually find out that Biggie and Puffy didn't have anything to do with setting him up at the Quad Studio. However, by that time, the damage was done.
Kading had led a 2006 task force assigned to untangle the infamous murders of Tupac Shakur and Christopher the Notorious B.I.G. Wallace, two cases that had haunted hip-hop for decades, and according to his findings, they were never mysteries at all. He said they were solved. The only problem was no one ever got charged. In the film, Kading laid out a claim so bold it shook even longtime conspiracy believers. Diddy allegedly ordered the hit on Tupac and Suge Knight. According to his report, Diddy was in a state of fear and paranoia, believing that Suge was plotting against him after one of Knight's close associates was killed. Desperate and cornered, Kading claimed, Diddy put out $1 million contract to take Tupac and Suge out before they could get to him.
So he was on point. He was worried about something happening. Yeah. Suge had mouthed off about a bunch of different stuff, so he was scared.
He was scared to death, yeah.
Kading said the deal was brokered through Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a well-known member of the Crips, and that it was Keefe D's nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, who actually pulled the trigger in Las Vegas on September 7, 1996. The story only got darker from there. Kading claimed that the reason Diddy was never charged wasn't because of lack of evidence, but because of who he was. The celebrity status, the fame, the power, all of it shielded him. Authorities didn't want to be the ones to bring down a mogul that big.
But on the other hand, it was very disheartening having gathered the evidence that we did and the LAPD not having the fortitude to continue forward.
When Murder Rap dropped, it didn't get the mainstream coverage it should have. But for those who watched it, it was a revelation. It presented a version of history where Diddy wasn't just a bystander in hip-hop's deadliest chapter. He was the architect. The Boondocks and Family Guy. When it came to taking shots at powerful figures, the Boondocks and Family Guy never missed a chance, and Diddy wasn't spared. Both shows, in their own unique ways, peeled back layers of the mogul's public persona, mocking what many believed were the hidden truths behind the glitz and bravado. The Boondocks, known for its sharp, fearless satire, didn't go for the easy jokes. In Season 1, Episode 6, The Story of Gangstalicious, the show tapped into one of the long-running rumors about Diddy, his double life and alleged relationships with male artists. The series built its humor around that quiet, unspoken tension that everyone in the industry seemed aware of, but no one dared to address directly.
What the? I got that dog in love.
It was the kind of subtle jab that made viewers laugh on the surface, while forcing insiders to squirm a little underneath. The idea was simple but cutting. Behind the polished image of the mogul, there was a complicated personal life that blurred the lines between business and desire. Meanwhile, Family Guy took a more straightforward route. Their writers went for visual comedy, mocking Diddy's physical appearance with one of those quick, biting one-liners that only Family Guy could pull off. In Season 11, Episode 18, Total Recall, they joked that his mouth was always open like P. Diddy, turning his iconic look into a caricature. It was simple, but it stuck.
I hate him! His mouth is always open like P. Diddy.
Together, the two shows painted a strange, double-edged portrait. Family Guy went for a surface-level mockery, clowning the look and attitude, while the Boondocks hinted at something deeper and more controversial. It was about exposing the cracks in the myth. These moments proved that Diddy had become more than just a public figure. He was now a cultural symbol, one whose image, both public and private, was fair game for ridicule. The Steve Harvey Show. In 1996, Diddy and Snoop Dogg appeared on The Steve Harvey Show for what was supposed to be a moment of unity. The hip-hop world was still reeling from Tupac Shakur's death, and tensions between the East and West Coasts were at an all-time high. The episode was meant to promote peace, to show that even the biggest figures in rap could come together and calm the storm.
Y'all, there ain't no East Coast, West Coast beef. I swear.
But when fans looked back years later, they noticed something strange, something that, in hindsight, felt almost prophetic. During the taping, Diddy showed up dressed head to toe in blue. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal, but some fans have since claimed that his choice of color wasn't just style, it was symbolism. In street terms, being Cripped out meant showing allegiance to the Crips, the same gang believed to have played a major role in Tupac's murder. For conspiracy-minded fans, that appearance felt like a quiet statement, almost a taunt.
We here to make a difference, you know what I'm saying? So we want y'all to stay in school and keep y'all heads in y'all books.
And then came the eerie part. Not long after that episode aired, Biggie Smalls was gunned down. The timing was chilling. What started as a peace gesture suddenly looked like a bad omen. Whether you believe the theories or not, the sequence of events is hard to ignore. Diddy promotes peace on national television, dressed in the colors of a gang allegedly linked to Tupac's murder. Weeks later, his own artist becomes the next casualty in the same deadly feud. To many, it felt like the calm before the storm, the moment where everything was smiling on the surface, but chaos was quietly brewing underneath. Blackish. In Season 1 finale, Episode 24, titled Pops, 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 Diddy played a gangster who violently confronts a man for getting too close to his girlfriend. His character's rage was explosive, his jealousy all-consuming. He even threatens to fill the man's belly with lead if he ever talks to his girl again.
What you doing? You trying to make time with my girl?
And I'm sorry, Mr. Savoy. I thought Maribel was your girl.
Hey, all my girl. And if I ever see you talking with my girls again, I'm gonna fill that belly with lead.
It was a performance that hit a little too close to home because around that same time, the real-life rumors of Diddy's temper and jealousy were spreading fast. Behind the scenes, whispers circulated that Diddy had been furious over Cassie's rumored fling with Kid Cudi during one of their breakups. Not long after, Cudi's car was mysteriously blown up outside his home, a coincidence too strange for many to ignore. While Diddy was never charged or formally accused, the rumor stuck. And then, on Blackish, he was handed a role that mirrored those exact allegations. The lines blurred between fiction and reality. Here was Diddy on national television playing a man consumed by violent jealousy, just as the world was quietly gossiping about his alleged rage in real life. It felt almost like the showrunners knew what they were doing, as if the episode itself was a quiet form of satire, turning rumor into script. The irony is that Diddy didn't have to act much for the part. The emotions, the intensity, the outbursts, it all felt raw and real. It was another eerie moment in a long pattern of entertainment media, seemingly using Diddy's own celebrity appearances to expose, or at least hint at, the truth hiding beneath his polished public image. All that. The scene starts off innocent enough. The young cast members approach Diddy for advice on how to wake up their sleeping friend. You'd expect something silly or playful, maybe a water prank or a loud noise gag. Instead, Diddy's suggestion crosses into bizarre territory. He tells the kids to take a toy helicopter and put it down their friend's pants.
Take this toy helicopter. Put it down his pants.
The kids do it, come back, and say their friend still hasn't woken up. Diddy, completely unfazed, hands them the remote and tells them to press it, activating the helicopter that's inside their friend's pants.
Shall I? By all means.
Even by the loose, anything-goes standards of 90s Nickelodeon humor, the whole thing felt deeply off. Watching it now, the scene doesn't read as goofy or mischievous. It feels disturbing. Here was one of the most powerful men in entertainment casually making a sensualized joke on a children's show, with no one around him seeming to think twice about it. At the time, most people brushed it off as Diddy being Diddy, eccentric, unpredictable, just joking around. But in hindsight, that moment stands out as a red flag waving right in front of everyone's faces. It was another glimpse into the unsettling patterns that people around him either ignored or laughed off. Years later, with everything that's come out about Diddy's alleged behavior behind the scenes, that appearance looks less like an awkward comedy bit and more like a warning no one wanted to see. It's eerie to think that on a stage meant for kids, the mask briefly slipped, and what peeked through was something far darker than anyone realized at the time. Saturday Night Live. In 2010, Diddy made a guest appearance on Saturday Night Live, a platform known for roasting celebrities under the safety of comedy, but this time the jokes hit uncomfortably close to home. During the skit, Diddy played himself, standing on stage alongside the legendary Robert De Niro. But here's where things got strange. De Niro appeared in full women's clothing. The audience laughed, but the real punchline came in how Diddy reacted. The skit exaggerated his response, suggesting that he seemed a little too amused, maybe even too comfortable with what was happening. The humor was playful, but the subtext wasn't lost on those paying attention. Behind the laughter, the scene was loaded with meaning. For years, rumors had swirled about Diddy's private life, about secret parties, questionable encounters, and his alleged interest in men. By making that the focus of a live comedy bit, SNL wasn't just poking fun, it was broadcasting the gossip that had long floated around Hollywood circles, right to the mainstream audience.
It's indeed a pleasure to meet you.
Looking back now, it's wild how these moments feel like breadcrumbs leading to where Diddy ended up, each one chipped away at the glossy image of Puff Daddy, revealing the darkness underneath. And today, with Diddy finally sentenced and behind bars, those old clips and coded verses have taken on new meaning.